The grand chamber of the Galactic Council on Paction buzzed with a rare vibrancy, alive with delegates from across the galaxy. Today, they were to witness the signing of a treaty promising a new era of peace and cooperation under the stewardship of Varnax Tellan, the esteemed alien lord. The curved walls of the chamber, illuminated by the soft glow from bioluminescent panels, cast a serene light over the assembled species, a visual testament to the harmony Varnax had tirelessly fought to achieve. Varnax approached the podium, his tall, slender figure both imposing and graceful. His skin, a shimmering tapestry of silvery scales, reflected the chamber's light as he surveyed the crowd with serene confidence. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice resonant and clear, carrying effortlessly across the room. "Today, we stand on the precipice of a new chapter in our shared history, a chapter written with the ink of unity and the resolve to foster peace among all our peoples." As he spoke, his usual calm demeanor was punctuated by an unusual fervor, his eyes alight with the passion of his convictions. The delegates leaned forward, captivated by his vision of a future forged by collective will and mutual respect. However, as he delved deeper into his speech, articulating his dreams for their collective future, a subtle change overcame him. A sinister gleam touched his eyes, unnoticed at first, but growing steadily, turning them a deep, venomous red. His words, once fluid and eloquent, faltered as a sudden dizziness overcame him. With a stagger and a gasp, Varnax clutched at the podium. The room fell into deathly silence, every eye fixed on him in shock and disbelief. Varnax struggled to regain his composure, his breaths shallow and labored. He attempted to speak, to reassure the council, but his strength betrayed him. With a final, desperate grip on the podium, he collapsed. The silence that followed was thick, leaden with the scent of betrayal. No one moved, as if frozen, unable to process the sudden fall of such a pivotal figure. It was Syria Corell, a high-ranking officer of the Council's Guard, who first broke the paralysis. Rushing to Varnax's side, she signaled frantically for the medical team. "Help him," she shouted, her voice a sharp contrast to the bewildering silence. The medical team surged forward, their movements swift and practiced as they attended to the fallen leader. They administered emergency care with precision, yet their faces were etched with confusion and concern. They were as perplexed by Varnax's symptoms as they were worried. As they worked, murmurs began to ripple through the chamber. "Poison," whispered some, a theory as chilling as it was plausible. "An assassination attempt," others speculated, casting suspicious glances around the room, where alliances were as fragile as the peace they sought to forge. High Chancellor Vorin Dax rose from his seat, his visage a mask of composed urgency. He addressed the assembly, his voice a calm anchor in the storm of whispers. "Let us not leap to conclusions," he stated firmly. "We must investigate thoroughly. For now, our priority is Lord Varnax's health. Let us hope for his swift recovery and maintain the unity he has worked so hard to build among us." The delegates nodded, taking solace in his words, but the tension remained palpable, a tight thread stretched to its limit. As the medical team hurriedly transported Varnax to the station's medical bay, Syria lingered by the doorway, her mind racing with questions and the dread of uncertainty. What if this was indeed an attack? Who stood to gain from Varnax's fall? And most importantly, could this herald the end of the fragile peace they had all hoped was on the horizon? As the chamber slowly emptied, the weight of the day's events settled over Paction like a shadow, and the bright future Varnax had painted seemed more distant than ever. In the sterile, dimly lit confines of the emergency council room, the atmosphere was fraught with tension. A holographic display at the center flickered with Varnax Tellan's vital signs, the lines jagged and erratic, a stark symbol of the council's fraying hopes. Around it, the council members stood in somber clusters, their hushed whispers echoing like distant thunder. High Chancellor Vorin Dax, a broad-shouldered Jotun with skin that shimmered like polished obsidian, stepped forward. His voice, usually a beacon of calm, now carried a palpable urgency. "We face an unprecedented crisis," he announced, his deep eyes scanning the room. "Our conventional sciences and medicines have failed. We must consider alternative solutions." A murmur rippled through the chamber. "What do you suggest?" asked a counselor, a lean and wiry sylphar, whose luminous eyes flickered with skepticism. Vorin turned toward the holographic image of Earth, a planet bathed in the emerald light of its restored jungles. "There is a healer," he began, his voice steady but tinged with reluctance, "an earthling named Eamon Thistlewood. Legends speak of his knowledge of ancient forgotten remedies that might save Varnax." "An earthling?" scoffed another counselor, disbelief etching her weathered features. "We possess the pinnacle of galactic medicine, and yet we turn to primitive myths. It's precisely because our pinnacle has failed us that we must explore untrodden paths," Vorin retorted, his gaze unwavering. "Eamon's methods, though unorthodox, may hold the key to saving not only Varnax, but our unity as well." Syria Corell, a young officer known for her unshakable resolve, stepped forward from the shadows. "Allow me to retrieve him, Chancellor," she volunteered, her voice a mix of resolve and reverence. "If there's a chance he can help, we owe it to Lord Tellan to explore every possibility." Vorin's gaze settled on Syria, appraising her with a discerning eye. "Very well, Officer Curell. Assemble your team and prepare for departure immediately." Syria nodded, her determination casting a glow of confidence. "We'll leave within the hour." The preparations were brisk and efficient. In the Council's sleek hangar, Syria and her selected team boarded the shuttle, a vessel designed for speed and discretion. The hangar buzzed with activity, technicians and robots moving in synchronized chaos. As the shuttle's doors sealed, Syria took the pilot's seat, her fingers gliding over the luminescent controls. Beside her, her co-pilot, a grizzled veteran named Harvox, observed the preparations with a stoic expression. "Think this Earth healer will know what to do?" Harvox finally asked, his voice gruff with skepticism. Syria kept her eyes on the displays, her hand steady on the controls. "We have to believe he will. Too much is at stake." The engines hummed to life, their low, pulsating thrum filling the cabin as the shuttle lifted off. The journey to Earth became a blur of stars and silence, each passing moment stretched taut with anticipation. As Earth came into view, a beautiful orb swathed in swirling clouds and verdant landscapes, Syria felt a stir of something akin to hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, this ancient healer held the answers they desperately sought. "Approaching Earth," she announced, her voice steady despite the churn of her thoughts. "Let's find this healer and bring him back. For Varnax, for the Council, for the galaxy." As the shuttle pierced the atmosphere, the adventure, and the race against time, truly began. The shuttle descended through the swirling mists that crowned the lush jungles of Earth, its engines humming softly against the chorus of the wild. Syria Corell watched the canopy unfold below, a tapestry of green reclaiming the scars of ancient wars. Her mission was clear, yet uncertainty gripped her heart as the shuttle touched down in a small clearing, the undergrowth quickly swallowing any trace of their arrival. Stepping out, Syria inhaled the earthy air, her senses tingling with the raw vitality of the planet. Her team, a compact unit of seasoned explorers, swiftly assembled their gear, their movements precise, revealing neither doubt nor fear. Together, they ventured into the dense jungle, guided only by the coordinates rumored to lead to the dwelling of Eamon Thistlewood, the healer whose name stirred hope in desperate hearts across the galaxy. The jungle was a living entity, untouched by the technological marvels that dominated other worlds. Vines draped like curtains over their path, and the sound of distant waterfalls echoed like whispers of ancient secrets. Syria paused, noting how the environment thrived in serene defiance of the galaxy's chaos. "Commander, this way," one of her team signaled, breaking her contemplation. They had found a narrow trail, the ground trodden not just by animals but perhaps by the man they sought. As they progressed, Syria considered her approach. Eamon was a recluse, disillusioned by the galaxy's reliance on technology, a man who found solace in Earth's primal embrace. How would he receive them, she wondered, intruders in his sanctuary? The trail led them to a modest hut, camouflaged beneath overhanging ferns and flowering vines. It was here they found him, Eamon Thistlewood, tending to a garden of vibrant herbs and exotic plants. His hands moved with tender precision, each touch a testament to years of wisdom and connection to the soil. Eamon Thistlewood, Syria called out tentatively. The old man stood, his gaze lingering on his visitors before settling on Syria. His eyes, clear and sharp, seemed to pierce through her, reading her intent. "I am Syria Corell from the Galactic Council. We need your help," she began, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. Eamon wiped his hands on his worn trousers, his expression unreadable. "The Council remembers Earth only when in need," he responded, his voice tinged with weariness and mild reproach. Syria nodded, acknowledging his sentiment. "I understand your reservations, but it's Lord Varnax Tellan who is in dire need. He champions peace and unity among the stars, values I believe you hold dear." Eamon paused, the mention of Varnax stirring a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "Varnax, the peacemaker," he murmured, the lines around his eyes deepening as he considered her words. "Yes, he's fallen ill due to a rare poison, one beyond our medical capabilities. You are his last hope," Syria explained, her words careful, honoring the gravity of her request. The healer surveyed the faces before him, each marked with a silent plea. The wind rustled through the leaves, carrying with it the weight of decision. Finally, he sighed, a sound almost swallowed by the jungle. "Very well," Eamon conceded, "I will see this Lord Varnax. Not for the Council, but for the peace he strives to preserve." Relief washed over Syria, her shoulders relaxing. "Thank you," she breathed out, the two words heavy with gratitude. Eamon nodded, then turned back to his garden. "Gather your things. We leave at dawn," he instructed, already resuming his work, his back to them, a sign of dismissal, but also of the impending journey ahead. As they retreated to prepare, Syria felt a surge of renewed hope. Perhaps, amidst the untouched wilds of Earth, they would find the cure not just for Varnax, but for the rifts that threatened the galaxy. The journey back to the shuttle was silent, each step resonating with the promise of what was to come. The journey back to Paxion was fraught with tension and silent anticipation. Eamon sat by the window of the spacecraft, his gaze fixed on the stars streaking past. Despite the tranquility of space, his mind was consumed by Varnax's medical files, his brow furrowed in contemplation of the formidable task ahead. Syria, observing him from across the aisle, finally broke the silence. "Do you believe there's hope for him?" she asked, her voice a blend of hope and apprehension. Eamon glanced up, his eyes reflecting a resolve forged from years of tending to the untamed wilds of Earth. "There's always hope," he murmured, "often in the places we least expect." The conversation shifted to the alien lord's symptoms, the likes of which Eamon had never encountered in a human. The red eyes, the sudden collapse. "It's as if his very life force is being siphoned away," Eamon mused. Syria nodded, her expression somber. "And nothing our doctors have tried can stop it." It was then that a flicker of memory crossed Eamon's mind. A rare plant mentioned in ancient Earth texts, known for its potent medicinal properties. "I recall a plant from Earth's lore," Eamon began, his voice tinged with cautious optimism. "It's said to revitalize the life energy in beings. I've seen it once, deep in the ironwood groves. I never thought it more than a myth until now. Could it work for Varnax?" Syria leaned forward, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. "It might," Eamon replied, "but finding it will be as challenging as curing him. It blooms only under the rarest conditions." As their ship docked at Paxion, the urgency of their mission had never felt more acute. Eamon packed away the medical files, his thoughts now solely focused on the task at hand. They disembarked swiftly, greeted by the anxious faces of the medical team, who led them straight to the isolation ward where Varnax lay. Eamon approached the alien lord, his condition more dire than the reports had conveyed. Syria watched as Eamon examined Varnax, his hands hovering over the alien's chest, searching for the faint life pulse. "This will not be easy," Eamon said, more to himself than to anyone else. "But we must try." He turned to Syria, his features set with determination. "Take me to the ironwood groves. We haven't a moment to lose." With that, they set off, racing against time, their fragile hope for the galaxy hanging in the balance. The sterile white lights of the medical bay on Paxion cast long shadows as Eamon Thistlewood, the Earth healer, leaned over the inert figure of Varnax Tellan. Beside him, Syria Corell watched anxiously, serving as a bridge between the ancient arts of Earth and the futuristic technologies of the Galactic Council. "His physiology is unlike anything I've encountered before," Eamon murmured, his fingers delicately brushing over the leaves of the rare plant he had brought from Earth. Known as silver tongue, this plant was steeped in the myths of old Earth, reputed to cure those destined to speak truths the world needed to hear. "Do you believe this will work?" Syria asked, her voice tinged with both hope and skepticism. "It has to," Eamon replied, focusing intently on his preparations. He crushed the leaves, mixing them with a solvent that would allow Varnax's alien physiology to absorb the healing properties. Nature has a way of balancing itself. Sometimes, the cure lies in the most unassuming places. As he administered the mixture through a carefully calibrated infuser, the tension in the room was palpable. The medical team of the Council, a diverse group from across the galaxy, watched every movement with bated breath. Eamon's hands were steady, a testament to years spent honing his craft in the solitude of Earth's jungles. Minutes passed like hours until, gradually, the color began to return to Varnax's cheeks. His breathing became more rhythmic, and the monitors beeped steadily, signaling a strengthening pulse. "He's stabilizing," one of the alien doctors announced, his voice a mix of disbelief and relief. Meanwhile, Syria had been conducting her own investigation into the sudden illness of Varnax. Her efforts unearthed suspicious communications between Morexol and unknown entities. Armed with this evidence, she confronted Morek, who was overseeing the security of the medical bay. "Morexol, you are under arrest for the attempted murder of Varnax Tellan," Syria declared, her voice resolute as security personnel surrounded them. Morek sneered, his confidence unshaken. "You have no proof." Syria presented a datapad, displaying the incriminating messages. "We have all we need. Did you really think you could usurp the Council so easily?" As the security team escorted Morek away, his sneer faltered, replaced by the dawning realization of his miscalculation. Back in the medical bay, Varnax's eyes fluttered open. Eamon was the first figure he saw, a human in a room full of aliens. Confusion gave way to clarity as he recalled the moments before his collapse. "Eamon Thistlewood," Varnax rasped, his voice weak but filled with gratitude. "You saved me." "It wasn't just me," Eamon said, gesturing to the plant. "It was Earth's forgotten wisdom." Varnax attempted to sit up, aided by the medical team. His gaze found Syria, standing a little way off, her posture tense yet relieved. "Syria, what of the Council?" "Stabilized, now that Morek's treachery has been uncovered," she replied. "Your vision for the Council remains intact." As news of Varnax's recovery spread, the Council chambers buzzed with renewed vigor. Representatives of different planets and species discussed the implications of what had happened, their conversations a blend of relief and renewed purpose. They spoke of Eamon's unique contribution, hinting at a new era where traditional knowledge could meld with galactic advancements. In the quiet of the medical bay, as the lights dimmed to allow Varnax to rest, Eamon packed his belongings. His mission was complete, yet the experience had left an indelible mark on him. He realized that even in his desire for solitude, his actions had ripple effects reaching far beyond the jungles of Earth. "Will you stay with us, Eamon?" Varnax asked, his voice now stronger. Eamon smiled, a gentle, knowing expression. "My place is among the trees and rivers of Earth. But remember, sometimes the simplest cure is not a substance, but a new perspective." As Eamon left the bay, the council members whispered among themselves, their respect for the Earth healer evident. The cure had not only saved a life, but had perhaps redirected the course of galactic diplomacy. In the newly serene council chamber of Paction, a soft murmur of conversation flowed among the gathered dignitaries. The massive windows revealed the swirling colors of the nebula that framed the space station, casting a celestial glow over the assembly. In the center, Varnax Tellan stood revitalized, his presence commanding yet touched by a newfound humility. "Friends and members of the Galactic Council," Varnax began, his voice firm yet infused with gratitude. "Today we stand united, not just by the threat that nearly tore us asunder, but by the courage of one remarkable individual from Earth." His gaze turned to Eamon, who stood slightly apart, his weathered face unreadable. Eamon shifted uncomfortably, unaccustomed to the weight of so many eyes upon him. Dressed simply, in stark contrast to the ornate uniforms and robes around him, his hands, still stained with the soil of Earth's jungles, clasped behind his back. "Without Eamon Thistlewood, I would not be here today," Varnax continued. "His knowledge of ancient Earth medicine has not only saved my life, but has also reawakened us to the wisdom we risk forgetting in our quest for technological advancement." Soft applause broke out, swelling in volume as the realization of Eamon's achievement settled in. When the room returned to silence, Varnax smiled warmly at Eamon. "I extend the offer to you, Eamon, to serve as a medical advisor to our council. Your insights could transform galactic healthcare." Eamon's blue eyes, clear and calm, met Varnax. "I am honored, truly," he responded, his voice low and steady. "But my place is among the greenery of Earth. My life's work is to preserve the knowledge of the natural world, to ensure it survives for future generations." Varnax nodded, his gesture one of deep respect. "Then we hope to at least foster a lasting collaboration with Earth, to learn and perhaps to remind ourselves of the balance between nature and our creations." As the assembly drew to a close, Eamon exchanged quiet farewells. The respect in the eyes of the galaxy's most powerful was palpable, but so was their realization that they were witnessing a rare kind of strength. Back on Earth, Eamon returned to his sanctuary, the vibrant canopy welcoming him with the familiar rustle of leaves and distant calls of wildlife. Alone, yet connected to the cosmos in ways he had never imagined, he felt a profound peace. The galaxy would move on, its courses perhaps altered by one man's humble adherence to nature's wisdom.